Today, we are tackling a question that has jumped right out of science fiction and onto the front page: artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Is it going to be our greatest creation or our last one? We're going to break it all down through the fascinating work of brain scientist Kim Daeshik.
When Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said this, it wasn't just another piece of tech news. It sent a shockwave around the world. It was a signal that this future we've all been debating, well, it might be getting here a whole lot faster than any of us thought. And it forces us to ask a really, really big question.
And this is really the heart of it, isn't it? On one side, you have this incredible promise. AGI could be the key to solving our biggest, hairiest problems. Climate change, disease, you name it. But on the other side, it could lead to a future where, frankly, humans just aren't in charge anymore. And the wild part is, most experts agree we are on a fast track to one of these futures.
So, to really get a handle on all this, we're going to structure this explainer like an hourglass. We'll start big with the huge question we're facing. Then, we'll narrow down and get into the nitty-gritty of the key technologies that brought us here. And finally, we'll zoom back out to look at the massive impact this is going to have on all of our lives.
Okay, so let's dive right in. What exactly is AGI? And why has the conversation around it suddenly gotten so loud, so urgent?
Right. So the AI we deal with every single day, the stuff in our phones, our cars, it's specialized. It's a master of one thing. AGI is a completely different beast. We're talking about a machine that can think, learn, and adapt across pretty much any task you throw at it, just like a person can.
Now, if you ask the experts when AGI will get here, you'll get a bunch of different answers. Some, like Sam Altman, think it's just a few years away. Others say maybe a few decades. But here's the thing they all agree on. We are in a golden hour right now. This is that critical, brief window of time we have to actually shape how this technology develops and decide what kind of future we want to build with it.
So, how in the world did we get to this point? It might feel like it happened overnight, but the road to AGI has been long and, honestly, filled with way more failures than successes. But a couple of key breakthroughs changed everything, and it all started with teaching machines how to see.
For decades, AI was pretty much just science fiction. Early attempts back in the 50s, they failed. And it wasn't because the ideas themselves were wrong, it was because the approach was flawed and, well, they just didn't have the tools, the data, and the computing power that we have today.
The real game changer was a total flip in strategy. Instead of programmers trying to write 1 million lines of code to explain what a cat is, we started doing something totally different. We just gave the machine millions of pictures of cats and said, you figure it out. And that's what worked. It created a new law of AI. With enough data and enough computer power, you can solve almost anything. And just like that, machines started to see.
But seeing isn't the same as understanding, right? Even after computers could recognize a cat in a photo, they were still basically deaf and mute. They couldn't get the hang of human language, and that turned out to be a much harder problem to solve.
And here's why it was so tricky. Think of an image like a mosaic. A computer can look at all the little pieces, all the pixels at the same time. It can process them in parallel. But language is like a story. It's sequential. The meaning of the last word often depends on the very first word. You couldn't just throw more computers at it to speed it up. It was a huge bottleneck.
The big breakthrough came in 2017 with a research paper that had a fantastic title, Attention is All You Need. It introduced something called the transformer algorithm. This was the key. It let computers look at a whole sentence at once and figure out how much attention each word should pay to every other word. It broke the bottleneck, allowed for massive scale, and, well, it's what gave us things like ChatGPT.
Solving the language problem didn't just give us smarter chatbots. Not at all. It kicked off a generative revolution that is totally changing our relationship with technology, and maybe even the meaning of work itself.
I mean, think about it. For the entire history of computers, we've had to be the ones to adapt. We had to learn their language, whether it was complicated code or just knowing which icons to click. For the first time ever, that whole relationship is flipping upside down. The machine is finally learning to speak our language.
For decades, economists have been scratching their heads over this thing called the productivity paradox. Basically, even with faster and faster computers, office productivity just stayed flat. It turns out, a big reason is all the work for work we do. All the tedious stuff like hunting for files, scheduling meetings, filling out forms. A conversational AI can just automate all that busy work, and that might finally be the key to unlocking all that stalled productivity.
And so, that brings us full circle.
With this unbelievable generative power now at our fingertips, we're standing at a crossroads and we're facing a choice that is going to define the future of our species.
We're at the end of the beginning. The ability to see and the ability to speak. Those are the basic building blocks of general intelligence, and they're here. This progress isn't going to slow down. So the most important questions we have to answer now aren't technical anymore. They're about society, about philosophy, and ultimately about what it means to be human.
So here's the bottom line. This technology, it's not inherently good or evil. Its path isn't set in stone. The decisions that we make today, right now, in this golden hour, are going to determine whether AGI becomes our greatest achievement or our last one. The choice is ours. The only question left is, what are we going to build?